Hello and welcome to CNET. I'm Ann Danahy, and today we're profiling candidates in the race for Patton Township Board of Supervisors. Joining us now is Democratic candidate Betsy Whitman. Hi Betsy, thank you for coming in to talk with us.
My pleasure, thanks for having me.
Can you start by just telling us a little bit about yourself and why you're running?
Oh gosh, it could take all day. So I am I guess you could say sort of retired person, but I never really retired. I do a lot of things around town. And very active in the community diversity group and Native Plant Society and many other groups. And I'm always looking for a problem that sort of needs a solution, working with other people. So at the county level, at the municipal level, it seemed like a natural thing to assume some of the challenges of daily living in Patton Township and work with my fellow board members and other community members.
Are there any issues that you would see as the priority if you were reelected?
I have two top issues. The first is sustainability, climate action. I am chair of the COG, the Council of Government Committee, Climate Action and Sustainability. I've been active in that field since the first Earth Day in 1970, so that is, a pretty active life in that. And the second issue that I am very passionate about is affordable housing, attainable housing, and actually not just in Patton Township, but in the entire COG region.
So on the sustainability front, I mean, the Center Region Council of Governments and the member municipalities do have the Climate Action and Adaptation Plan, and that was adopted. It set a number of goals, including reducing greenhouse gas emissions.
Yes.
So you support that. How do you see the township as helping to meet those goals and get there? Is that something that you think more needs to be done to achieve the goals?
It's an ongoing process. I like to think of myself and hopefully others on the board having a climate action lens. So when we're talking about the purchase of new cars, I always ask, is there a hybrid or an electric version of that? And in fact, in Patton Township, I don't have to ask because they usually present both versions. Electric vehicles is a step that we are taking on a consistent basis, and it's a very obvious one. It's very tangible. There are other options that we're looking at in Patton Township as well as the COG region, and we're trying to prioritize. So part of our capital improvement plan, which we go through every year, and that sets the goals for the next 5 years, is again looking at our improvement projects with that lens. Same with at the regional or the COG level. Setting the priorities is a little bit harder. Do we go with solar on the municipal building? It looks like I think that we will. It happens to be in our capital improvement plan. The Climate Action and Adaptation Plan, which is region-wide, one of the goals in it is to have 10% of the houses in the region with solar by 2030. I believe that's our goal for that. The question then becomes, how do you go about getting that 10%? And there's various funding available. There's also, we also have in the budget for this year a certain amount of funds to help, I always thought it was for solar, it's actually for affordable housing to help people purchase a home for the first time in Patton Township. Sorry, I switched issues there. But it is coming up with money to help individuals as well as then money that would impact a project that is concentrated on the municipal building or on Patton itself.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense in that sometimes the issue is the same. How do you balance that goal of whether it's affordable housing or more sustainable housing, environmentally friendly goals? How do you balance that with the costs?
It's really tough. Patton Township took a pledge, Ready for 100. It's put out by the Sierra Club. It essentially says that we are setting our priorities to be carbon neutral by 2050. The borough, I believe, and maybe Ferguson, there's another municipality, maybe it's Harris, has a similar goal of being 80% carbon neutral and then receiving or essentially dealing with the other 20% through RECs, which are renewable energy certificates. Yeah, so the bottom line is the budget, obviously, and we have many things pulling at us. We have roads to repair and buildings to maintain, but it is sort of being pretty assertive, and we've done. Then to do it all without raising taxes is an additional challenge. So I hope I didn't waffle on that. It's always a very difficult decision.
Right, and you also mentioned affordable housing as a goal. Right now, one issue that's come up is a request to rezone what had been a radio station,
Right.
and it would be for housing for people 55 and older, so it would be changing the zoning status of it, I believe,
Yes.
to a medium density.
Exactly, yes.
And there are concerns about, is there any guarantee of what will end up going in there and what kind of impact it'll have on traffic and that type of thing? Where do you stand on that, or what are your thoughts on that?
So there's no guarantees, except that the way we have proposed the rezoning, we have to have the official public hearing. The way we've proposed it is to have non-commercial, so it'd just be housing there. The developer with those zoning boundaries can actually reduce the building level on that, so that the owner or the builder developer could put in single-family homes, but that developer could also put in multi-family units. It is, so we can't make them put in affordable or attainable housing, but they pitch the idea to us with the desire of putting that in that area. So it will be maintained as residential, and then the engineers work on exit entrance to the development. Would it be on Clearfield more likely than it would be on, I'm blanking on the other, Wattle Road. Yeah, so we have traffic engineers that determine that. So there will be a slight increase in traffic, but it will maintain the neighborhood feel, we hope. Certainly better than having commercial or office space there.
That also kind of speaks to the larger question of the growth and development pressures that Patton Township
Right.
continues to feel. I mean, there is population growth, there's continued development. How do you see the township's role in balancing that with what people want to say is maintaining the character of the township?
Oh, that is the $64,000 question, not just here, but everywhere. Housing is in a real crisis. I see that as one of the biggest needs. We obviously have commercial development along North Atherton, and there are a couple of blank spots that can be developed. I go back to what Patton Township did when Patton Crossing was being proposed. It was that 30-acre across from Walmart that now has an Aldi, so people probably recognize that property. Surrounding residents were very concerned about the change in the character of the neighborhood. That was all forest. They used to run in those woods when they were kids. Change is hard. People are very concerned about things happening in their backyard. That's really what's most important to all of us. We formed a citizens advisory group, brought them in, and group of citizens, township staff, and I don't think there were any elected officials. Oh, the developers. And there were talks, we had two ends, and they came closer together. I will say that it was not, there were not equal voices at the table. The developers had certain inalienable rights because they own that property. We had certain limitations because of zoning that was set at the state level. But the fact that citizens had an input into that makes a huge difference. We listened to them. We made several changes. We went from 10 stories to 3 or 4 stories. I can't remember the exact height. A similar process happened in 1 or 2 planning commission meetings of Patton Township, and then with a supervisor meeting. One of the planning commission meetings, which I didn't see, was quite emotional, quite heated. But everybody got their say. At the supervisor meeting, the Planning Commission recommended to us that we consider this rezoning proposal the developers had offered. We also listened to audience members. One of our supervisors, Dan Trevino, had a overall view of the whole neighborhood in, I guess it's Clearview and Woody Crest, seeing the Wattle Road as being more active, there's commercial on one side of that, and then maybe a higher density housing on the other, and then having less dense neighborhoods, more walkable neighborhoods on either side. So I really feel that he had listened to the folks who had presented their concern about traffic and walkability and so on. So it was really, I think, very much of a community effort to arrive at a workable solution. Yeah.
And one other question topic for you. Patton Township is a member of COG, Center Region Council of Governments, and they encourage cooperation and shared services when it applies. Do you support that, and are there any changes or different directions you would like to see for COG in the future?
Well, I support it 100%, and I think I just want any viewing public to know that COG is not another level of government, it's a level of services. So there's a great economy of scale. There's been a lot of turnover in the planning department, so there's been some discussion that maybe Patton will have a full-time planner within Patton Township and not coordinate with COG. That is to come out in the shuffle over the next couple of years, I'm assuming. But COG, their biggest department is Parks and Rec, and we all benefit from that. The second biggest, or maybe they're sort of co-equals, is code. We all depend on that. So those are the people who come and make sure that our houses are safe for all the occupants. And then there's planning and then the finance. Yeah, sure. So yeah, it's just added benefit.
And we have a few seconds left. Is there anything else you'd like to say to voters?
Oh gosh, so I went to a Pennsylvania Municipal League conference this last weekend, and it's where you get together with like-minded or employed elected officials and so on. I really saw, I think for the first time, the strong role the government plays in service in our community. I'd always thought of it as just attending to municipal business, roads, traffic and safety, zoning, housing needs, gypsy moth spraying,
Spongy moths.
Spongy moth spraying. We don't do social services at the municipal level, but keeping the roads clear, keeping leaves off around, coming in and removing trees. We don't take the dead animals off the roads, but we get all the calls. It is a service to everybody here that our community runs well. Oh, I guess actually one of the biggest things, kind of eye-opener over the last several years, is in waste management. I serve on the committee that right now is in the weeds of determining the contract. And it seems like, what waste and recycling is sort of a afterthought for most of us. But if we thought of not having those services, it would be a very different place to live. So just that sense of service. And so it's all the more gratifying, I think, to serve as an elected official.
Betsy Whitman, thank you so much for coming in to talk with us.
Thank you so much. Really like it.
We've been talking with Betsy Whitman, a Democratic candidate in the race for Patton Township Board of Supervisors. All candidates on the ballot were invited to join us at CNET. I'm Ann Danahy. Thank you for watching CNET's election coverage, and please remember to vote in the election November 7th.